Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with another in our interminable series of interesting overtures. I am having so much fun doing this. I've said that before because we get to talk about all kinds of interesting music, and I can play you extended bits of it, and we can really get into the music. And this particular amazing and interesting overture is by Johann Simon Mayr, known also as Giovanni Simone Mayr. Now, Mayr was famous as really the founder of Italian Romantic opera. He was the teacher of Donizetti, which is a big deal in terms of music history. But what's so fascinating about him is that he was a German composer who was enamored hugely of the German classical tradition, that is Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven. But as a composer, he wrote mostly liturgical music, and he established a conservatory and a school in Bergamo, Italy. And that was where most of his creative life took place. And living in Bergamo, that was not a place where people were going to be terribly receptive to the great classics of German music. And so he liberally plagiarized them for his own music, especially Beethoven. Beethoven and Mozart, perhaps more than anybody else. It's just fascinating to listen to his music, of which there is now an extensive series on Naxos, to see where the borrowed ideas come swooping in. And I've talked about him once before in one of my videos, an after Beethoven video. And it really is remarkable. And along the lines of his peregrinations through the German classical repertoire as cleaned up and presented for the concert-going public of Bergamo, he wrote an opera. And the opera wasn't written in Bergamo. I think it was in Naples or someplace like that, but it doesn't matter. It's called Gli Americani, the Americans. And before you get all excited, he's not talking about Americans like Chicago. He's talking about Americans as in like South America, like Incas, like the story. I mean, they're all the same story. It's the explorer from the west winds up in Inca land and falls in love with the pretty high priestess or the king's daughter, and they have a tryst, and it's tragic, and that kind of thing. It's that sort of a plot. It's not they go shopping at Sears in Chicago. Nothing like that. Doesn't happen. But it's called The Americans, and it just so happens that the main theme of the Allegro is completely stolen from the opening of Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto. Now, Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto is in C minor. This is in the major. But other than that, this is the tune. And unlike Beethoven, who of course presents the theme and develops it richly throughout the course of a major concerto movement in sonata form, Mayr hasn't quite that much creativity involved. First of all, it's an opera overture, so it's lighter to begin with. And second of all, he doesn't develop so much as repeat and repeat and repeat. And it's hilarious and marvelous. And I'm going to play it for you now. The whole overture, it's like 7 minutes with its wonderful, slow, faux Mozart introduction, the whole deal. The performance is by, in this case, I Virtuosi Italiani, I believe. It's like a whole bunch of people here, the Bavarian classical players, Concerto de Bassos. I mean, they're all doing bits of this under Franz Hauck, who is leading the charge for Mayr's music, much of which is still in manuscript or still being made available in performing editions. But here is his overture. Let me see if we have the date for this. It's actually very interesting. It's 1806, which is amazing because the Beethoven Piano Concerto is only a couple years old when Mayr stole its opening theme for his overture to the Americans. He was going back and forth, between Vienna, the German-speaking lands, and Italy. And here is The Americans. Franz Hauck and crew performing Giovanni Simone or Johann Simon Mayr's overture to Gli Americani, based rather transparently on the opening of Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto. I just think that's fascinating, and I would love to hear this in concert. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, for those who recognize it and know what it is. I mean, because it's so familiar, and then it just goes off and does things that Beethoven wouldn't even ever dream of doing. And it's so, I don't know. I find that endlessly entertaining, and I hope you did too. So keep on listening, folks. Tune in for our next fabulously interesting overture. Take care.